Infiltrate a Forerunner facility.
I want to say there's like 13 levels.
Like, a lot of people were like, oh man, why'd they add Forerunners? Those are a new enemy type. But it's like, Forerunners were always around.
Right. Well, because they were like the precursor to, like they
made the rings and everything.
Yeah. They're basically the what's it called from Mass Effect.
Look how different these things are. Like, look at this thing.
Yeah, welcome back to Digi and Pals.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, the Proteans from Mass Effect are the same thing
as
Protheans.
Prometheans.
Yeah.
Prometheus.
The Protheans and the Forerunners are pretty much the exact same concept. I wouldn't be surprised if Mass Effect like borrowed a lot from Halo, because like the visual design is pretty similar.
It probably did, and considering
sword.
the first Mass Effect game was a Microsoft game.
Yeah, that's right. It was
a lot of people forget about that. Like Commander Shepard and all that; those were exclusive Xbox titles and PC titles for its first run.
Oh god, it's so weird not killing these guys.
Oh yeah, I totally just.
We fight like the Flood, right?
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I fucking hated the Arbiter levels because they're all dark. They're all just like dark corridors.
And you don't get a flashlight, you get that camo.
I fucking slashed that invisible guy.
That was me. You fuck boy.
You?
Fuck you.
Hey, calm down. I didn't know you could go invisible. Look, man, when I see an invisible dude with a sword, my instinct is to fucking cut that guy up, man.
If you push up or X, you go invisible.
I feel like for a lot of people, the old Halos are pretty much... They mostly just remember multiplayer, but I was always into the campaigns of Halo. I mean, I was obviously into the multiplayer as well.
I was into the campaign until like I finally got Xbox Live. And I remember the first day I got Xbox Live, I sat there for 12 hours. I didn't move.
Well, see, that's the thing. Okay, we didn't have Xbox Live because A, it's like a recurring payment and all that, and like we didn't know how to set that up. And B, up until I was like a teenage, like well into my teens, I had like no understanding of how to like hook the internet up to things. Like I could not have told you what an Ethernet cable was until I was probably like 16. Cause like I'd always heard that you could play like on the original like PS2 and even the GameCube I think had some online capabilities, but like I had no idea how to connect it, you know. I think with the PS2, all you had to do was just plug a fucking LAN cable into it, right?
Yeah.
And it would go online. But I had no idea what that cable was, and
it wasn't like a whole lot of like you could go online with the PS2, but it wasn't a whole lot to do.
Well, the thing is,
there's like a few games that you could
there
play
was
online.
one game that I wanted very badly, and that was the original Monster Hunter, which was on PS2, but it was online only. So unless you had you knew how to LAN with it, then you could not play it. And I wanted the game so bad because it looked like the coolest fucking game ever. You just take a giant sword and kill a bunch of big monsters, and it had fucking dinosaurs and shit. And I was like, this is probably the greatest game ever made.
Dinosaurs.
But it was online only, and I had no idea how to hook up a PS2 to the internet. And then, like, with the Xbox, we just kind of, like, I think we got the Xbox Live for the first time on the 360, I think. Because I just had no idea.
How long did that last?
Probably about a year.
And then you just sort of like, I'm not paying for this again.
Yeah, well, maybe it was more than a year. I don't know. We definitely played a lot of Gears of War and a lot of Halo 3 online.
I ended up on Xbox Live a lot more than I probably would have normally, just because working at Best Buy, I had all these Microsoft like trainings, and I would end up with years of Xbox Live for
get in this
free.
Elevator.
So like, I haven't paid for Xbox Live in probably 7 years.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
So I'm like, everyone. So like, I don't necessarily get the whole.
What the fuck do
Xbox Live is expensive and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but at the same time, I'm not paying for it.
Right.
So
I don't think we thought of it as an expensive when we were younger because back then, like, internet was such a novel thing for a console to do. Whereas now it's like, I have Wi-Fi in my house, and my console can can connect to that Wi-Fi. I shouldn't have to pay for anything.
I remember playing games on floppy disks.
Do you actually?
Yes, I had a Independence Day, the video game, and it was on 12 floppy disks.
What game? Like, what was it like? Like,
it was like a.
What console generation would you compare it to?
Well, when I played it, hold on. What console was out? The Nintendo 64 was about to launch. It wasn't out yet.
So was it like? But what console would you say it was on the graphical level of?
Saturn, Sega Saturn.
Okay, so not too bad.
It wasn't horrible, but I remember it was like it wasn't even like an action-packed game or anything like that. It was one of those. Someone says something on the screen.
Did you
click
actually
an answer.
own a Sega Saturn?
No, my friend did.
Because
I was always
I
on the
don't think a lot of there's probably not a huge amount of people who know what a Sega Saturn
my
graphical.
Me and my
level
friend
is.
had this plan. We were like, we wanted to play every video game, but we knew we couldn't get our parents to buy us
Man,
both.
I feel like that's every kid's dream is to play every video game.
So we were like, we want to play everything, but we know I was like, I can't get like a Nintendo console and a Sega console.
Leave
so
a
my
comment.
friend got all the Segas and I got all the Nintendos, and I think I won out in the end. But
Let's see. Someone leave a comment if you, as a kid, had the dream of playing every video game, or if you still have that dream. Because when me and Victor were kids, all right, I might have told this story on the show before.
Oh,
but I
that
know
was a
you
good guy.
haven't heard this story before, John. Oh man, you got the Sentinel beam?
yeah, I found it on the ground.
So when me and Victor were kids, we wanted to become game designers, right?
I think every kid
is
wished.
this the original?
This is the original here.
Okay, I like this more. Because when you switch to it, I was like, oh, this must be the new version, because this looks awesome.
This is the new one.
I don't-
You can sort of tell.
Why is everything orange in the new one?
You
I
can
like
tell
the
by the
green
lights.
aesthetic way better.
You can tell by the lights. So like when you go to the new one, the lights actually
yeah, they have a little...
they shine.
I like the green aesthetic a lot more than the orange aesthetic.
That was the original Xbox.
I don't get why they made everything...
That was the
orange.
original Xbox when everything was green.
Yeah, that was cool. It had an identity, you know?
It's still green, but you can change all the colors and everything now. Customize it.
What the fuck was I talking about? Right, when we were kids, we wanted to be game designers, and for some reason, we like had it in our heads that that if we designed like if we came up with the idea for a game and sold it to Nintendo, they would give us $2 million.
Why such a specific amount?
Don't ask me why. I have no idea. We thought that exact number, but for some reason I had it in my head.
You and I will make $2 million.
Well, like specifically, I thought I wanted to make a game, and I thought what I had to do, like what I thought designing a game is like literally drawing all the maps, drawing all the enemies, like explaining what they do, like on paper.
There's like math and.
Yeah, no. I was handwriting a game, like handwriting what all the enemies were. I was writing strategy guides. Like that's how my idea of level design was to write a strategy guide explaining the level. Like
this is what I
style.
want to do. Can you make it happen?
Yeah, and so I thought I just had to sell that idea to Nintendo, and they'd give me $2 million. And what I intended to do with that $2 million.
I just love that it's $2 million.
Yeah, exactly $2 million. I seriously have no idea where that came from. Like, I know I was reading a lot of Nintendo Power at the time. Maybe there was something to that effect.
Like
a
game
question
sold
someone
at
asked,
$2 million or something.
or like someone like asked like what's the budget of a game, and they said $2 million or something to that effect. You know, it could have been any number of reasons.
You happen to see $2 million when you thought of the thing.
Yeah, so I just thought I would make $2 million if I sold a game idea to Nintendo, specifically to Shigeru Miyamoto. I was going to sell him my game idea for $2 million.
You were going to go into a boardroom with him.
And then once I had $2 million, I would be able to afford every game console and every game. So, and mind you, at the time, I had no idea there were so many game consoles. Like, the only ones I really knew about...
Yeah, it's not like now where there's only, like, 3.
Yeah, no, there were a lot back then. So I thought it was like... I think the Saturn was probably out at this time, but I didn't know about the Saturn. So I wanted, like, the Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo, because I never had one of those, and NES... and like a couple others I had known about, like maybe an Atari or something. Like, I didn't even know about the Sega Master System until much later.
Like, I think the first console I remember like really getting into was this the original Nintendo.
Yeah, the NES.
Not the Super Nintendo, because I got like a hand-me-down. But I know I had an Atari before that.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I've seen pictures of me playing an Atari when I was like 2.
The first console I owned was the Sega Pico.
Oh.
You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's specifically for like a learning device, like
Yeah.
child's toy. pretty neat thing, really, because like I was at the age that it was like totally engaging and cool to me, you know.
And
but
then,
they only made like 50 games total for it, and almost all of them were Disney tie-in games.
Yeah. But that was before Sega went Sega.
Yeah.
You remember Sega.
I don't remember that version of Sega.
At the beginning of some, I don't remember which Sega. There was a couple of the games where a guy would come on the screen and he would just go Sega.
That sounds terrifying and very 90s. Yeah. So.
Oh shit.
I thought I would get every console and every game, and I'd be able to play all the video games. And me and Victor would bounce up and down on our beds while I would like name all the consoles and games I was gonna buy. And the older I've gotten, the more short-sighted I realized I was about how many games actually exist.
Fuck.
I don't think $2 million could buy every game.
I don't think it could either,
But-
especially now because.
But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe it could.
Well, you got to
$2
remember
million is still a lot of money.
We're so far into games now, like so many of them have collectible status and things like that. So
Right, but like
certain
even
games have gone
like
so far
the
up
most
in price.
expensive games are like $10,000, and really to a millionaire that's a drop in the bucket. Like out of 2 million, a few $10,000 games is not gonna fucking And I don't necessarily need to own literally every game.
No, I need
like
literally-
I
I need
probably won't
literally
buy
every
all the
game.
ones that I'm not interested in actually playing. But like.
I'm gonna buy.
And I've also had times where I wanted to buy every anime, which is actually probably not too difficult of a prospect. Every anime that's for sale, at least. I don't know. I think if I had millions of dollars, I would spend it all on art because I just want to be a patron of the arts, So I'd probably just buy all the things I'm interested in, buy some of them multiple times over.
I would probably
I'd probably
buy-
fund some productions if I was.
I would probably buy
really a
movies,
multi-millionaire.
and weapons like swords and shit.
Yeah, you do have a sizable weapons collection. Why don't you tell us about your weapons that you
So
own?
a lot of them,
Like, they're all tie-in weapons. Like, weapons that are from something.
like they'd be, or like a lot of weapons would be like, so I would buy a weapon that might have been in a video game or a movie or something like that.
Right.
Or at least modeled after it. And then there's weapons that I have that just had a really funny way of me getting them.
Uh-huh.
So like I have a katana. That's not sharp or anything like that. It's just a decorative katana.
Right.
But I got it from Best Buy.
Oh. How?
So
like you want it or something?
There's this thing on for Best Buy employees called Path to Excellence. And when you make like a big sale, because Best Buy doesn't do commission or anything like that. So when you make a big sale or you get a customer compliment, they'll give you this little gift card that goes to a website specifically for Best Buy employees, and you spend the points to get something on the website. I at one point had accumulated.
Is this what gamification is?
Basically. At one point, I had accumulated 5,000 points, and you only get like 80 at a time. So this was a long time it took me to get to this. So I was like, okay, I need to spend these. I need to get something. And I was just exploring through there, and they had like tents and treadmills and shit. And I was like, I'm never going to use any of this. And then I saw a katana and a dagger. And I was like, what the hell? And I just had this thought, because those prizes don't go to your door.
Was it a dagger or like a wakizashi?
It was a dagger. There was a dagger. I got 2 swords from Best Buy.
But, like, it wasn't just a short katana.
No, it was an actual dagger.
Okay.
And
They often come in sets like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a set or anything like that. But I was like, oh my god, these things come to the store. They don't go to your house.
Uh-huh.
And I
had
had the thought of just
collect from Best Buy a
I
katana.
wanted a katana because I wanted the pleasure of receiving a box in the store, opening it, having a katana, and then walking out the door like I was the fucking god.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I am in charge right
You
now.
really like scaring the people you work with.
I do, because it's so fucking easy.
You like them thinking you're a crazy person who they don't want to ever talk to.
It's so fucking easy. Or just the person that they don't want to make mad.
Right.
Just at the very least.
You want them to think that you're like the guy from that Dane Cook joke about giving the candy bar to
Yes.
the guy at work who,
Thanks for the candy.
yeah. Everyone knows what I'm talking about,
I'm
right?
absolutely that guy.
I don't necessarily want to like retell the joke, but
Yeah, it is a Dane Cook joke, so we don't want to like.
I'm not as against Dane Cook as a lot of people are.
That particular joke's pretty funny, but he did steal a lot of material, and it was like.
Yeah,
proven,
I don't,
so.
Like he did, but like. I'm not as like upset over comedians necessarily like quote unquote stealing jokes. I think most jokes are pretty derivative anyways. Like
Yeah.
Most stand-up comedy tends to deal with the same couple of subject matters and are presented in pretty similar fashions because there's
He's also basically been telling the same jokes for like 20 years.
Right.
So there's that.
God, has he been around for 20 years? I don't think he's been around
I don't
that
think
long.
he's been around that long, but I definitely remember him when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
So he's been around for a while.
The earliest I remember hearing about him was like 03. But he was probably around, well before that. So maybe like 15 years. God damn. Dane Cook must be old now. I feel like he hasn't been on TV in a long time, so I'm curious like if he looks old now.
He's just got gray hair, he's balding.
Right. Like how old has Dane Cook gotten? I need to know.
That's the title for the episode. How old has Dane Cook gotten?
But yeah, like I think jokes are generally fairly derivative.
Look how cool.
I think we can ride these.
Cool
yeah, baby.
That design.
Fuck yeah.
Oh.
All right, I have.
That Phantom's ours.
No recollection how to fly this thing. All right, it looks
so
like you just
push forward and you go
forward.
forward.
Is fly, and then you control.
And then you
with
hold
the camera.
back and you like kind of go backwards.
Yeah.
And then if you go too high, you'll stall and then explode.
All right, so where's the enemy? Where are we trying to go? I guess this. Yeah.
Shoot these motherfuckers. You know what? One other thing about Halo is like I like the Halo games and everything, but every single game now has this exact level where you're flying around in a Banshee, shooting some enemies. And then going
okay,
somewhere.
like I like this in these parts in Halo because like, all right, there's a great video by Extra Credits. You ever heard of that show?
Never.
I think that's what it's called.
I have never heard of Extra Credits.
Extra Credits is a YouTube show that like basically explores game design and like all the concepts of game design. They used to be really, really great, and then they kind of explored everything, and now they're kind of
doing the same thing.
Well, like,
doing
the
what
stuff's
they know
not
best.
as interesting. It's like they'll talk about a new concept, but it's not nearly as like world shattering and interesting as the stuff
Because
they
we've
used to
gotten
talk
used
about.
to it.
Well, it's just they covered all the big stuff.
Right.
They covered all the like really interesting stuff, and now they're just kind of covering like minor stuff. But like,
it won't be interesting again until.
and I can't say that for sure because I haven't watched their videos in quite a
What does it
while.
look
So
like in a
maybe
new
they've
one?
talked about some more interesting stuff since.
It's like
as
we're on
usual,
Mars.
it's orange.
I like orange.
I know you like orange, Josh.
I like
I know
orange.
orange is your favorite color. Is this where we need to be? This seems like a place.
Yeah, that's a fun fact for people. Orange is my favorite color.
Yeah, I think they know because Victor's complained about your love of orange before. Although he also said that the fact that you like orange did not surprise him at all.
I will say, I like orange a lot more knowing that Victor doesn't.
Yeah.
And just sort of...
That's exactly why it doesn't surprise him that you like orange. Okay, there's the guy we're supposed to be following, so I think we're supposed to be over here.
Like, before Victor told, and Brandon even told me that they didn't like orange was just like, yeah, I like that color. It's pretty much my favorite. And then they told me they like fucking loathed it. And I was just like, orange is the greatest thing that has ever existed.
I don't dislike orange as a color, but I do think it's overused in like modern cinematography because of
action films.
Yeah, because of the orange and teal look, and games are looking like that now too, where like if you look at fucking like Overwatch, everything is like super saturated orange and teal in the level that they've been showing, or fucking Killzone 3 was like overwhelmingly orange and teal. Like I don't mind that color combination in some cases. Like Mad Max was those colors, but it looked really cool because it was like a unique desert location. And
it was orange and blue, but it wasn't like a filter that they put over it. It's just that's naturally how it looked.
Yeah, it looked like the desert, and it looked good.
Whereas other films, like I know Jurassic World did it, they put a filter over it, like a blue filter
color correction.
Yeah. and that's what makes it kind of look weird.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the excessive filtering into those colors and how it's bleeding into games so much. I mean, and even like, you know, everyone like gets on Journey's dick for having amazing art design, but even that game is just blue and orange, like, and like I think it does it better than some, but I honestly I don't think it's that unique in like its approach to color design. It's just another blue and orange thing, you know. It's just a really catchy combination of colors that looks good in HD, so that's why everyone goes for it, you know. But yeah. What the fuck was I talking about before that?
You're talking about orange because orange is
before orange.
Orange.
You distracted me with orange because you changed it to the old or the new graphics again. But I was talking about something else.
And now green. Green and orange.
This is way cooler.
What the hell?
What the fuck was I talking about, dude? I really have no recollection at all. Wasn't I like going in depth about something?
I don't know. Maybe.
We talked about you liking to scare people at work. And we talked about Dane Cook.
I like to scare people in general.
And I was saying how like I'm not that bothered
comedy.
by
people taking jokes. Dissertations.
And then there's something I was talking about after that I was like mid-thought, and then we changed the graphics, right? I think.
Someone will tell us.
Well, to expand on the comedy thing, like, you know, I believe we live in like a remix culture, you know, where like everything is constantly being like changed and redone and added onto. And I like that. I like that, like,
we revisit stuff.
I like that we combine elements of old things to make new things, you know? Like, to me, I've always felt like media is only getting better. Like, I mean, not to say that there's not plenty of good old stuff, but, like, my favorite stuff is usually new because it, like, takes the ideas that we had before and expands on them and, like, you know, adds more to them. And,
you're not one of those people that's like, oh, well, if it's new, it sucks.
Right. Well, you know, a lot of people have a problem with newer things not being as original because, you know, they're copying old ideas. But like,
people don't understand how difficult it is to have an original idea.
Yeah, well, that's like a completely original idea is kind of non-existent.
It's impossible
but like,
to have.
Like a game like Undertale, which everyone's so into right now, like the entire
so hot right now.
Right. Like the entire basis of what makes that game interesting is how it plays around with the tropes of RPGs, where like pretty much the most interesting element of the game is that it incorporates your saving into the game, where like it incorporates the fact that you're playing a video game into the game, and like it's building off of the tropes and ideas of RPGs, and that's what makes it interesting. So to me, like, you know what, I'll continue this topic next time on Digi
Next time on Digi Bros when the load screen finishes.
I'll get into it in more depth.
Whoa!